Hi and welcome to my wee channel, The Wandering Kilt. Today is another two for the price of one deal. Aberdour Castle and St Fillans Church. I know, it's another castle. I promise the next one won't be a ruin, okay? I would just like to take a moment to thank you all for your watching and supporting my channel. Getting close to 2,000 subscribers, so let's just keep pushing on. It's all much appreciated. I'm determined to get maximum value out of my historic Scotland pass, and if you like visiting castles in Scotland, it's definitely well worth the money. So to Aberdour, not Doer, but Dower. I can't even begin to count how many times I've been to Aberdour, but it was always to the beach. Silver Sands is a great place for a paddle in the Firth of Forth. What about the castle? Well, this is my first visit. I've never ever been before. Aberdour Castle was built probably as a fortified house in the early 1100s, with walls nearly 3 feet thick. King Robert the Bruce granted the lands to his nephew Thomas Randolph in 1325, and it's believed to be one of the oldest castles still standing in Scotland. It's had a sketchy history up until James Douglas, who was the 4th Earl of Morton, came on the scene. Not everyone can be king. If you don't have a lineage, it doesn't really matter how rich or powerful you are, you just can't be. So the next best thing is to become regent or temporary king. So it was with Morton, who stepped in, as it were, for the child, James VI, the rightful king of Scotland, but a bit young to rule. He was installed in 1572, lasting 6 years. Things were good for him then. Well, they were up until the end, when his bad deeds caught up with him. He was implicated in the murder of David Rizzio, who was Mary Queen of Scots' favourite secretary, and more importantly, in the murder of Lord Darnley, who was the Queen's husband. Time ran out for him when the young king was 15. On his orders, Morton was imprisoned and executed in 1581. The castle was quiet after this, but was badly damaged in 1688 by fire and was never really repaired to any great extent. Fast forward to 1715 and the first Jacobite rising. The castle housed government troops, and sadly they were not too careful with their matches, and unfortunately, fire caused even more significant damage. It's still well worth a visit, with a 16th century ducat or pigeon house, and one of the oldest formal gardens in Scotland, dating back to at least 1545. Next door is St Fillans Church, a really old church. It dates back to 1123, older than the castle even. It was linked to the monks on Inchcolm Island. Things didn't look good for the wee church, falling into disuse, and by 1796 the roof had caved in, making it unusable. An interesting story is that a rich titled lady wanted it completely removed, but thankfully she was not successful. Today it's a vibrant parish church serving the community. Restoration work began a few years ago, actually 1925, and it celebrated its 850th anniversary in 1973. It's a great place for quiet contemplation, away from the hurly-burly of life. Anyway, let's just get on with it. Well, that was Aberdour Castle, Gardens and St Fillans Church. The church is free, but it's paid admission to the castle and gardens. I know I sound like an advert for Historic Scotland, but once again, having the membership card made it free to enter. There are other memberships available, and next year I think I might if I can get the money together, I will go for the National Trust of Scotland one. Anyway, as I look at the clock on the wall, I see that once again time has beaten us. So until the next time, bye for now.